This is Michael Spedden, and welcome to Fowl Players Radio, your one-stop shop for all of your pop culture needs. We feature interviews from musicians, actors, comics, dancers, authors, and much, much more, up-and-coming artists and beloved favorites. We've got it all, people on stage, backstage, out front, and behind the scenes. Sit back and relax. Let's have some fun.
Hi, this is Randy Jackson from Zebra, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
Hey, it's Keith Brewer from whatever band you please, the Ravens, Company of Wolves, Barley Juice, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
And welcome back, folks. Tonight, our guest is Gastem. From 1985 to 1989, they performed in the Baltimore-DC, Virginia area, and they have recently reunited and are re-releasing their material from years ago, releasing new material that will be out soon, too. I had a great time talking to Rob Galpin, Craig Stegall, and Mark Schenker, not only about this, but about the old days of playing the clubs in the area. We really had a great time remembering all these things. Such a magical time and such a great place to be. Links to their music, websites, and social media can be found in the show notes. And the material's sounding good, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. The Fowl Players of Perryville are back in action and have upcoming shows on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, Fifth Company Brewing, Madigan's on the Waterfront, Susky River Beverage Company, and Maryland Party Boat. If you're interested in seeing a show, our website is www.fowlplayersofperryville.com. If you are interested in booking us, foulplayersperryville@yahoo.com or 443-600-0446. Every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 3 to 5 for the replay is the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com. Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. We feature songs you forgot you liked, classics that never die, interviews with up-and-coming classic beloved bands. Go to 97underground.com and download the free app today and listen to us wherever you go, anytime, anywhere. Also, remember our YouTube page at 97 Underground Michael Spedden, where you can see all of my interviews are all archived right there. We thank you for watching and listening to Fowl Players Radio. Our main website is www.fowlplayersradio.com, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@fowlplayersradio. Remember to support our guests in their endeavors. Links to their books, albums, tickets to their shows, and much more can be found in the show notes of each episode. Folks, stick around. We have a great interview with Gastem. We'll be back right after these words.
How you doing, everybody? This is Sammy Sirius, and you're listening to the Fowl Players Radio.
Hi, this is A.D. Adams.
And Paul Williams with Escape the Hive.
You are listening to Fowl Players Radio.
And again, here we are back on Fowl Players Radio, season number 11. We've got 11 seasons. We've got 11. It goes to 11. Well, it's going to go more than that, if I have my way, of course. So, welcome. Tonight, we have Gastem with us. I've had them on my 97 Underground show, and they're great guys to talk to. We have Mark Schenker, we have Robert Galpin, and we have Craig Stegall. Great to see you guys. Lots of great news. Marylanders, lots to talk about tonight. So, and lots of great news, coming back with some material to release to the world, some stuff you're redoing and some new stuff. So, plenty to tell us about tonight, fellas. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what's going on here, guys? Reunions and re-recording and remastering and all kinds of stuff, huh?
It's a mess, but somehow we're going to make sense of it. Basically it's a, I guess you would say that it was an uncovering of some old audio that was at one time the first two albums that we released back in the 80s. Those few folks that remember seeing us out on the circuit back, between 85 and 89 will remember that at our shows we had we had 2 independent released records that we would sell at shows, and they were available in, local Maryland record stores. And they were only available on cassette at the time, because when we had them produced, we were literally doing it by ourselves. We didn't have a record deal or anything back then. We were just kind of, seeing if we could have this, so that we could have it available at the shows. And the first album, Catch the Flame, and it came out in 85. And then in 86, we followed up with another 12-track album called Do It Like Wild. And back
there it is.
For the younger folks, this is a cassette.
Yes, yes, it is.
And this is how you would rewind it when you were in the car, and your car tape deck would stop working. So
yes, exactly.
And if it didn't sound good, you just took a pack of matches and you shove it in after you put, try doing that to your computer. See how
So since you can't do that anymore, it just so happened that last year, probably about February, Rob called me and said, "You're never going to guess what I found in my attic while I was doing some spring cleaning." He found the original analog masters to both of those records.
Wonderful.
And so the intent was that we were just going to see if it was possible to digitize, remaster, remix, and make those sound better. And that was it, because as I mentioned to you when we did the interview on 97 Underground, I walked away from playing music in 1990. I literally had not even picked up drumsticks until this past, until December 2023. And obviously, that Rob and Mark have continued playing on. Mark, being the bass player for Kicks, and then his time with Funny Money, which was Steve Whiteman's.
Yeah.
Kind of, it basically it was Kicks light. There weren't all of the Kicks members there, but he kind of brought it back. And then Rob was a part of that band as well. So those guys had always been out playing, and I mean, obviously, we all stayed in contact, and so we kind of had our finger on the pulse as to what everybody was doing. And then Rob pulled these masters out, and we decided to just go ahead and do that. That was it. And then next thing you know, Rob decides that he's going to take these songs that he's been working on for the past 15 years, and he wants Mark and I to play on them. Now, as I mentioned in our previous interview, there was another member of the band at the time, Mark Eamon, who was the original bass player. I don't know if many people know this, but Mark Schenker, who's with us today, he actually used to play rhythm guitar for the band when we played live and recorded. That was his gig. And then magically, somehow he became this awesome bass player. But
magic, Mark, right, Mark?
Right?
Just magic.
Snap of the fingers.
Yeah.
Instant expert.
Just like you magically learned how to play drums again, Craig, after 30 years. This last Christmas.
I don't know how that happens. It's just magic. It's the gas.
A lot of magic.
Yeah, very much so. And so, I mean, with that said, we were very sad to have lost Mark last year in November. Mark Eamon, heart attack, and I mean, shit happens.
Way too young.
Yeah, having played music, and I'm guessing, I was playing in the days that you were talking about here, and we're probably in the same ballpark age-wise and everything. We know a lot of the same people. We have a lot of the same common friends. So we're probably about 6 degrees or whatever it is of separation away from each other, of everybody around here. But
Kevin Bacon. Somebody say Kevin Bacon.
Right. Exactly. The thing is, and I hate to say this, but it's like, a lot of the players and band guys are in my feeds, whether it be 97 Underground, Fowl Players, my own personal one. And I hate to say it, some days it's like you open it up, it's like reading the obituaries.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing,
Rough.
And it's a real shame. I guess, we're just getting to the age where it's happening, and I think, and the reason I'm really happy to hear that you all are doing this is because there are a lot of people out there too. And I've spoken to a lot of folks, you know, I talk and you run into people and you recognize them from the years ago, you talk to them, and some of them are like, you know, they're seeing other bands do the reunions and doing what you're doing. And a lot of people feel like they have unfinished business from back in those days where they'd like another crack at playing the material, another crack at getting back out there, whether it be long or short term, you know. And you know, having lost a band member, you know, I'm really glad that you're embracing this time and you could all come to an agreement to do this together, get out the old material, and you know.
Yeah, and we're very lucky that, you know, I know that the world is probably sad that Kix, you know, turned in their farewell, you know, back in September of last year. But
oh yeah,
I mean,
So is my banker.
And as you remember, I mean, the precursor to that, if I'm not, you know, mistaken here, Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, there were some serious, even on stage, close calls that happened with that band.
Oh yeah,
that are wake up calls as well. Because let's be honest, I mean, even though Kix was like a little bit ahead of us as far as, you know, age and, you know, kind of set the tone for everything in the Baltimore, DC area. Man, that's Jimmy's too young to be having issues like that. And, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, it's crazy. So the fact that they had caused, you know, done the farewell thing really opened up the door for us to kind of, you know, get Mark Schenker involved again. And then, my gosh, when Mark Eamon passed away, it was kind of like, now we've got to at least do one song together, because this is silly. But then out of that and out of the digital remasters of the old album came this just glut of songs that Rob had been sitting on that were literally, you know, Rob's songs that he had recorded everything on. And so we started there. And then, you know, Rob was sending me these tracks, and here I am trying to relearn after 35 years of not playing, you know, what am I doing, you know. And when we finally kind of clicked, and trust me, those first couple months were I was really questioning whether I was going to be able to pull it off, because anybody that says it's like riding a bike is absolutely full of crap.
It's like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. You're like,
dude, you are not kidding. WD,
you know,
there was WD-40 sitting right next to this kit, man.
And probably a lot of Ben Gay too, huh?
Oh man,
old man sauce.
Old man sauce. And the funny thing is I'm the youngest one in the band. That's the crazy part, is I needed the most oiling.
That fraction is just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
it is. It is. And that's funny, because back in the day, 4 years didn't mean anything, but now it's kind of like it's not even there. There is no gap between us at all. We're all
right,
you know, in that same boat. And the fact that Mark Schenker was able to be a part of this and agreed to do it, we were just like, man, we have got to take advantage of this. And so the whole thing kind of erupted into here we are with 23 brand new tracks that sound fresher than anything we ever did, and completely in line with, I mean, Michael, you've heard some of these, and I mean, they stand up against anything out now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what's kind of funny and coincidental or ironic, I don't know what you want to call it, but a lot of these songs were written during periods when I was writing stuff for Funny Money and for Kix.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
So when I was trying to come up with ideas that they would bite on, you know, that they would like, because of course I'd love to have, you know, them, you know, my songs get that visibility. And in some ways, these are the rejects. But they're not. They're good songs. They're good songs.
Yeah.
But they all happened during that time when I know that I was inspired, because when you're thinking, it's kind of like what Mark said earlier, and maybe it was in the other interview, but when you know you have an audience, there's a fire that gets lit, and it increases your creativity, your energy. And so when I knew that I was writing songs that could possibly get that visibility on a Kicks album or in Funny Money, it made me write differently, I'm sure, and it gave me kind of a fever. And a lot of these songs kind of came from that period. If they weren't, they may not be songs that I was writing specifically for, Kicks when we were trying to come up with material for Rock Your Face Off. And that's a lot of these are coming from that. When was that released, Mark?
2014 or 2016?
It was 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's about right. Yeah.
A lot of these songs that came from that 2012 area, where that was right when we were, trying to get stuff for that. So kind of interesting and ironic. And then that we come around full circle and Mark's playing bass, on those songs.
Yeah, and I could speak to the rejects because I remember playing a couple of songs, well, more than a couple, for Taylor Rhodes, who was producing the record. And he would just be like, God damn, that's a great song. That is a great song. He's a Nashville songwriting gentleman, Mr. Taylor Rhodes. God damn, that is a great song. But you know what? It ain't a Kick song. I'd be like, fuck. That song is so, can't we just, put some ooh-ahs in there and turn it into a Kick song? And Taylor was very much the gatekeeper on, having written so many Kick songs himself and, been involved in Blow My Fuse and Hot Wire. He was really the gatekeeper for that. And there was a lot of good songs that at least 5 good songs that Taylor rejected, but he would keep talking about them. He's like, man, that one song, I just can't get out of my head. And I'm like, well, let's make it a Kick song. He's like, nah, it'll never be a Kick song. So it was kind of like, oh, well, So
that's a little bit of that happened in Funny Money too, because when it was time to write the Stick It album, it was like, this is going to be great because we're just going to write Kick songs.
Yeah.
We got Steve Whiteman as our singer. So we're just going to write a Kicks album. This is easy, right? I've been listening to Kicks since they were born.
Yeah, me
since
too.
I was born, I know them inside and out. And you sit down to write a Kicks song and it just comes out different. It's not
It's really hard to write a Kick song.
Yeah, it really is.
It's really
You're
difficult.
Like, this is just AC/DC. It should just be an AC/DC song with a little, different kind of, a bit more melody in the chorus maybe. And but no, there's something else. There's another flavor there that we could never really tap. I mean, maybe we did touch it around the edge a little.
Right. I mean, that had to have been a great opportunity there, Mark, to, I mean, those guys are just like, legends, especially in this region.
I mean, it was, gosh, it was so long ago. I can't even remember why it came about or what the reasons were, but I knew when we got Taylor involved that it was going to be a good record because, like I said, he was the gatekeeper for what is and what is not Kicks, I mean, and he wrote all my favorite Kick songs, Cold Blood, No Ring Around Rosie. I mean, he's got like 13 or 14 Kick songs that he either wrote by himself. In fact, I have a version of No Ring Around Rosie with Taylor singing lead vocals.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I'm like, who's this guy? He's like, that's me. I'm like, I didn't know you could sing. I thought you were just a dumb songwriter,
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how it came around, but getting Rob and Craig involved in that, it was really easy, and it ended up being the best Kicks album that we could have done at the time. And we did well on the Amazon rock charts. We were #1 for like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
We were so we were number 48 in the Billboard top 100, and Blow My Fuse got to number 47. So we missed Blow My Fuse by 1 position. So it did really well, and it got a lot. It kind of jump started the band a little bit. So we were getting busier and busier and playing more and more until Jimmy had his heart attack on stage.
Oh God.
And, that was a rough night. I don't have nightmares about it, but I do think about it and think about what would have happened if things went differently. So we kind of slowed it down.
I couldn't even imagine.
It was, I mean, I was the one giving him CPR. I never
Yeah,
expected to be mouth to mouth with Jimmy Chocolate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got him back. We
Mhm.
got him back to life. Brandon and I, and the guys came in and took him to the hospital, and he's been fine ever since. But then
Right.
Brian had a stroke. I'm sure you've all heard about that.
When was this?
It was probably, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I
So
had
he
him
had
on
a-
the show. I had him on the show about 2 years ago. This
Yeah,
must have
he
been right
had-
after that.
We
Yeah.
weren't exactly telling everybody at the time because it
Sure,
was
yeah.
his business and his,
Mhm.
and then finally he just let it out on a podcast, and then everybody started asking us about it. But he
Yeah.
had carbon monoxide poisoning in his home, which caused him to have a stroke.
Oh my God.
Even his cat had a stroke.
Wow. Jeez, that's scary. That's scary.
Well, it could have been worse. I mean, he
Mhm.
just had, a little bit of slurred speech and a little bit
Yeah.
of coordination between his right and his left hand, and
Mhm.
a lot of frustration. I mean, it's, for that skilled of a guitar player to
Oh,
lose
without a doubt.
this kind of, visceral coordination that he's had his whole life,
Right,
that
right.
he never had to think about. And now
Mhm.
he's, standing back by his amp because he's self-conscious about his playing.
Sure.
And, but he got better and better and better. And by the time we were done, he was playing really well again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those two things were the sort of the catalyst. I think Steve got, I know seeing Jimmy on the floor and me giving him mouth to mouth scared the shit out of Steve. He was
Yeah.
he was like, we got to stop doing this because I don't want to die on stage.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
the job that I have that actually pays my bills.
Mhm.
I've been a CPR instructor for over 25 years.
too.
And okay, yeah. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've only had to use it once in real life. And sadly, it was, I didn't, but I mean, that feeling you must have had when you saw that happen, and you had to spring into action. You're like, all right, it's happening, and
Yeah,
I'm
and
glad it turned out well,
yeah,
for
I
you,
mean,
but
it could have easily
I
gone
understand though,
away. And there was a moment when I was giving him CPR, I was like, and I looked over at Brandon, and I was like, fuck, man, he's not responding. And you
Mhm.
know this from seeing somebody who needs CPR, but when the heart stops, the blood goes away from the extremities, including the skin. So they
Mhm.
carried Jimmy over to me, and he was green.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my God, he's fucking dead, you know?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, let's get started, Brandon, you're a bigger guy. You take the chest, I'll take the mouth. I cleared
Mhm.
his airway and just, did what we're trained to do, as you know.
Right.
And it just worked out. He came, I didn't think he was going to come back. And then the next rescue breaths I gave him, I could feel his chest pushing back on mine. And I was like, oh, well, this is good.
Yeah,
This is a good
yeah.
thing. And yeah, it worked out good. But man, it really made everybody kind of take stock, like what,
Mhm.
because those guys are 10 years older than me.
Right.
So they're like, man, I don't want to miss time with my family,
Mhm.
dying on some stage in El Paso, or
Sure.
getting in some car accident on a 2-lane road in, Charlotte, North Carolina, or somewhere like that. It's just,
Well, yeah.
it really made everybody look at their family, and I, Brian and I love traveling. And so I think we kind of miss it the
Mhm.
most. I love the ritual of, charging up my batteries, getting my guitars together, driving to the airport, getting on a plane with my friends, landing in some city, and we
Mhm.
would do this every single weekend. And so it got to be, a habit. And then when it was gone, it was like, I was feeling kind of lost, I was like, what do I
Yeah.
do? Cut the lawn? No, I have guys to do that. I can't cut the grass.
Mhm.
So I was kind of looking for things to do. And but the point is I have, a lot of time on the weekends. And so I'm able to, play bass on these songs that Rob and Craig were gracious enough to ask me to play. But I don't think they know what they get themselves into with the type of bass playing that I'm interested in doing, which is
Sure.
getting me, because I play in a Rush tribute band, and
Oh
John
yeah.
Harris. So I told him ahead of time, I'm like, look, I'm going to shit bass all over your songs. Just tell me if
He
you don't like
did.
something.
He did. He
Yep.
was totally.
Yeah, I'm a bass player
We didn't think
myself. Yeah.
serious.
Yeah, I'm a bass player myself, and I've seen Rush more times than I can count. And every time I go see Rush, I either go home and start practicing like crazy, or I just want to make a pile in the backyard and just burn my gear.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Destroy
one of the
everything.
two.
Throw your basses off the thing.
Absolutely.
Well, in all
you know.
honesty, too, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I've never been able to play on a song with Mark playing bass. I mean, back in the day, he was the rhythm guitar player.
Sure, yeah.
He did a lot of lead vocals on, you know, songs that we did live. And so I never had the opportunity to ever, I mean, I obviously watched Kicks, you know, I'd go to shows and wherever Mark would play down closer to the Florida area. And I mean, it was impressive, but you know, to actually play along with Mark playing bass, it's insane, because for the longest time, I'm so used to hearing Rob put the bass track down on, you know, everything that he's ever done. And now that, you know, we've got live drums again playing and hearing Mark play bass, I mean, it's, man, it's a different feel, a different sound, and it's exciting. I mean, it's added definitely a fresh you know, parameter to this whole thing that we're doing. So it's super exciting because you know, the band just sounds tight. I mean, it really does.
It's like every time you add another layer, because I've written so much by myself,
Sure.
and it's all me. But every time you add another layer, Greg puts his drums on, and all of a sudden there's a new energy. And it's like, oh, this is exciting. And now Mark, when you have Mark putting his bass part on there, and now it's got even more energy. And honestly, it makes me want to go, I got to go back and re-sing now. Now my vocal parts, they don't keep up with all the energy that we got on there.
That is one thing that I will say for this band, because for all of its immaturity back in the day, because I mean, all we were is just four guys that were just going balls out, man. We were just, I think it was like a wrestling match. I mean, it was just crazy to watch because we were steamrolling, you know, just the whole entire show. And that's what made, I think, our live shows. I honestly think that's kind of what the attraction was, is that we were a fun band to watch because we were just high energy the whole way, and the music kind of gave way to that. But I'd
like to add something to that, Craig. One of the things that we did that most other bands didn't do is we were able to, because again, the songs were so good, and this is you know, Rob being the core of the songwriting, we were able to put our original songs off of our little cassettes that we were selling into the set next to Rat, next to, you know, next to Motley, and we would put those in there. And eventually we got to the point where we could do a whole hour. If we were doing 3/1s or 540 or 545s, we could put a whole set of our songs in there and nobody would leave. You know, well, there wasn't anybody there anyways.
No, the two guys. I distinctly saw two guys.
But it, you know, we felt confident enough, and you know, nobody ever said shit about, you know, it's like, what was that one song? It's like, oh, that's our song, you know. So we felt strongly about the material even back then, that it could stand up next to all the cover songs that we all played back then.
Right.
We were, it's not that we were adamant about getting our material out there, it's just that we didn't care. And so we were like, well, fuck it, let's just put, you know, Kamikaze in there or whatever, you know, whatever song, and they just worked, because they were, at the end of the day, it's all about the song. And you know, Rob with you know, Craig's lyrics were just, it stood up next to the popular songs of that era, and we were able to play those songs live at you know, the venues we played, and nobody fired us. So that was that was our only goal, is to not get fired. So
what venues were you playing back then?
What's that?
What venues were you playing back then?
Oh, the Rabbit's Foot, Mountain View,
Sure.
Network.
Network.
Oh yeah.
Which was eventually AL Gators.
Yep.
And
Daytona's and
Maxims.
Maxims in Virginia. We had a tough time
Paragon.
breaking into Virginia. The Paragon and College.
the Steps from Hell.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
Oh God, everybody that I've had on the show that remembers the Paragon, it's like, the Steps.
yeah. Get your
Yeah.
cabinet up the steps.
I
back
know.
in the days when everybody had to have giant cabinets.
I know, lifting my Ampeg rig up and down
it was-
those.
it
It
was
was
bad.
brutal.
I was playing
Great.
guitar, so I didn't have to hump an Ampeg, but Mark Eamon certainly did, and he did his fair
Oh.
share of humping.
Mm-hmm.
Craig
Oh.
swears that we played Swizzles a bunch, but I don't know if it's a memory thing.
we played that. We
Yeah, we
did a
played
lot
there a
of
bunch.
openers. Yes, we did.
We
Where
played
was
there with
Swizzles?
York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I was thinking of another place in Towson.
No, it was right on the main drag, and we played there with.
Wrathchild, we would open. We opened for
Yeah,
Monarch.
we played with a couple metal bands there, like Anthrax
Exodus.
or somebody. Who?
Exodus.
Exodus. That's what it was.
And
Okay.
no lie, they gave us a case of Heineken after the show because they felt sorry for us because we got spit on and we had to cut the set short. We thought we were going to get killed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not
I'm
interested.
dead serious.
They were not interested in Dr. Feelgood.
Nope.
Yeah, apparently
at all.
not. Yikes.
But you remember back then, all those thrash metal guys, they were pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. They were definitely a different camp. They
Yep.
were definitely a different camp.
And
Yeah.
we've got to throw a nod to Kicks anyway, because in all honesty, and this is aside from Mark ever playing with the band, they were literally the band that we have to thank for giving us some of our biggest opportunities, because some of the openers that we would do for Kicks
Mhm.
were some of the best shows that we ever played. I mean, obviously playing in front of their crowd is like, just the holy grail for a band like us,
And the
Mhm.
other thing is that Kicks had a rule back then that, it wasn't hard and fast, but they wanted bands warming up for them that were playing all originals.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't-
Mhm.
You remember that? I mean, so we were able to, easily put together an hour worth of material.
Mhm.
So, because of Kicks, we got a little more confidence in playing our own songs, because they didn't want a band to warm up for them and go up there and play Girls, 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 or
Yeah.
Lay It Down, or any of that stuff.
Or a
And
kick
so-
song.
Yeah. And so we had to go, we were dependable in that respect, where, we weren't going to throw Smoking in the Boys Room in at the end of the set or whatever.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So that was a good opportunity for us, and I think that we got a lot of confidence playing our own material live
Mhm.
through that opportunity that Craig spoke about with Kicks. They wanted all original bands, and
Yep.
a lot of the times they weren't that great. So hopefully we were.
Oh
a little
yeah.
different than
Well, and lucky for us in '86, which is at the time that we released the second record, Do It Like Wild, DC 101 nabbed one of the tracks off the first album,
Yeah.
and we won runners up in the whole regional home tape search in 1986.
yeah.
So we were very lucky to have that on our side, to where, I mean, one of our original songs actually mattered at that time. And I think that even when Mark started getting involved with the Kicks guys and it became the Funny Money live act, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, the first thing Steve said to you was like, what's that song that I liked on that first record that you guys played? I'd like to play that. And
Bump and Grind. Yeah.
exactly. And so one of the songs off of the first record actually became a Funny Money, I guess, live staple, if you will.
It went on Skin to Skin, didn't it?
Yeah. It
Oh,
was
it
on
sure
Skin
did.
to
It
Skin.
was actually, yeah, you're right. I
Yeah, we
forgot about
recorded that. Yeah, Jimmy played drums on that too, so it was good.
Oh,
Did
Yeah.
you ever do Maxwell's or the Rage or any of those places?
Where was Maxwell's?
That was in Towson, Parkville area, off of
think we
Perry
did.
Parkway.
Yeah, I remember riding all the way up White Oak exit and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
Uh,
we did the whole little New Hampshire thing too. I forget what the club was there in New Hampshire. It's now called Wild
Excalibur.
Ones.
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
See,
we
Mark,
played
I
up
do remember something.
And then, oh, I'll tell you, the best gig we ever had was obviously the LA Cafe. I can't tell you how much we loved.
Was that
playing.
Beltsville?
God, that was no PA, no miking the drums. The drums were completely not mic'd on that
Yeah, that
stage.
place was rough. Tiki
Oh.
Fala, we used to play down there in Woodbridge.
Oh, Tiki Fala.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that and you know, there were so many options back then for live music, and even
Yeah, there
some of the
were.
smaller rooms around nowadays, like Baltimore Soundstage, they're all, you know, Live Nation or AEG now, and you just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how is anybody starting up a band supposed to get gigs? I mean, they're just
Right.
Yeah, there's a few places around, like you know, there's Henny Max, there's what is it in Towson? Used to be Gators. I keep calling it Gators all the time. Zen West is a pretty nice room, Morse Burgers, but it's not like it used to be.
it used to be everywhere. Like you could
Yeah.
pull up, you could do a whole 4-week or 6-week, 8-week rotation
Yeah.
in
Never
all the
repeat.
clubs, and you have enough time that the, you know, the agents or the club owners would say, oh, well, it was, you know, 8 weeks since you were here. Cool. You know, let's do it. So you could,
Yep.
you could literally play somewhere different every weekend for
Mhm.
2, even 3 months sometimes. You know, there
Oh,
was
yeah.
just so many venues, and not only were there so many venues, but people were actually going to those venues and
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you know, and doing what hasn't really happened since. You know, people don't
Yep.
really go to those
Mhm.
places where, you know, cover bands play unless they're a Journey tribute band or an AC/DC tribute band.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that. Those are real popular now. So,
Mhm.
And we'd be remiss to not mention the Copa, which became Jack's.
right,
was
which
a-
was
and-
back in the day was the Wild West.
Mhm.
Right. And
So
then
that was
We also have to go to West Virginia to
Oh.
the Double Vision Lounge,
yeah,
and the underground.
Bloody Staircase. Everybody remember the
Mhm.
Bloody Staircase at the Double Vision?
yep,
And the other place.
the other
And
place.
the underground.
Mhm.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was yeah.
Did you ever
Different
do Feathers?
Where was that?
That was in Baltimore City too. That was off of Moravia Road.
I don't think so. We never got down in the actual city itself unless we
Oh,
played,
okay.
what was the name of that punk club that was real narrow?
Oh, How Daddies.
No, it was something else.
Chambers?
9:30. Was it the 9:30 club? That's not a punk club then.
No, the
Yeah.
930 Club. We didn't put that.
That was
we didn't play
DC.
the old one.
I
We
played
did
there
play
at
the
old one.
Bayou. We did
Yeah, we
play the
played the
Bayou.
Bayou. I think, yeah, that's about, you know, we got
Mhm.
down to the Bayou, and I think that was the only place we ever played in DC, really. There
Mhm.
just wasn't, you know, it was a different scene in DC. You know, it
Yeah,
was all
yeah.
the, you know, it was either thrash metal or punk,
Yeah.
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 and we didn't really fit there. So there's a little bit of an alternative scene
Mhm.
in DC and down, you know, even downtown in Baltimore. So we didn't get too far down in those places.
Right. Right. Yeah. See, the band I was in was a little more alternative ish. We were kind of closer to the cult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we played DC quite a bit, and there was another one, the 15-minute club,
Ha,
which I thought was wild.
hopefully you only had to play for 15 minutes and you get
Yep.
out of there.
Well, yeah, if you hung around that place any more than 15 minutes, you were lucky to get out of there. That was 15th and K, and I'll tell you, I won't go on about it, but I left something in my van, and I had to go out to get it, and I walk outside, and every 10 feet was a hooker, and they looked like a 70s movie. I mean, you know, platform shoes, the fishnet stockings, the fur
Nice.
coats, you know, and the pimps were there with them too, with the big hats with the feather, the leisure suits.
That's
I thought I
crazy.
walked onto a movie set, but then
Right.
you know, a limo would pull up and about 5 would get out and 5 would get in, and he'd collect the money. And there was no light show for us at the 15-minute club. We played, and they had a big white wall, and they had a projector, and they would play The Fantastic Planet,
Uh-huh.
which was like a sci-fi cartoon movie from the 70s. Used to be on Night Flight a lot, you know, one of those shows. You'd know it if you saw it, I'm sure. But that was a pretty cool place. 930 Club. That was the one club owner who didn't cry poverty at the end of the night when you went to get paid. because when you played there, they rolled out the red carpet. You know, you would get food, and I was like, when we walked in there, I almost felt like, is this our food? Is this our drinks? Is this our money? It almost reminded me of that Naked Gun scene where, no, that's not for you, Frank. Weird Al Yankovic was on the plane, like for us,
Yeah, I remember the old 930 Club had a pole that was kind of off
Yes.
from the center.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the old mill in Hagerstown.
Yes. Yes.
These clubs that had poles in them. And then because I saw Alanis Morissette on her first record tour there. And I was like, why is there a pole? But her drummer was Taylor Hawkins. And I was like, that guy is special.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the last time I ever saw anything at the old 930 Club, but we didn't get to play there, unfortunately. I think we always wanted to, but
it was a great place. It was really great. There was another, you just mentioned the old mill. There was an old mill in Dundalk too. And we used to play there, and it had, it was a country bar. So what they did is there was a cowboy, like a Western mural on the back of the stage.
Oh, you're
But
kidding
then what
me.
they did is they took shiny tinsel, tinsel, but you could, when the tinsel would blow, you could still see the mural. And there was a thing that stuck up. It looked like a submarine periscope. And that's where all the switches were for the lights.
Oh God.
So it was like you'd be playing and you had to watch it. It was like right wherever whoever was on, the right side of the stage had to watch it. It was right there. And it was a great place to play. I mean, the guy was very, very supportive of music. And when you were younger, you really got it out. It was somebody who was open to having younger bands in there, which was good. They didn't enforce like the drinking age. I mean, you couldn't drink, but they would let you play. Some places had that strict 21 or older to play there, but they were great about it. And we did a lot of. Did you ever do any? We did a lot of youth places too. There were a couple.
I don't think we did too many of those. I think maybe we did.
We did Andrews Air Force Base. There were a bunch of military installments that we definitely would do, and those were huge, very, very into it crowds. I'm telling you what, those were amazing nights.
What are those places? The Knights Templar or the Knights?
Oh yeah, like what are like lodges or something? Yeah,
the lodges, right?
Yeah, like Masons or the Shriners or something like that. Yeah.
Knights Templar or Knights of Columbus or whatever it is. We did a few of those. Those were good.
Yeah. St. Andrews there. It reminded me of Fred Willard and Spinal Tap for some reason.
Well,
I think I need a haircut too.
We were there with Wrathchild, so that's a band that's going to pull a crowd no matter where you are. That's kind of a Kicks, not really at that time a Kicks level band, but popularity wise, they drew a crowd, man.
Wilmer's Park is another one.
Remember? Yeah. And Shiley Acres.
Wilmer's Park was the PCP capital of Maryland. Like on my side of the stage, the bathrooms were there, and you'd smell that shit coming out of the bathrooms, and you'd be like,
my
God, this is crazy. But that's the most thing I remember about Wilmer's Park, playing there with Wrathchild. But yeah, man, there were so many options then. It's so sad now. It's just like,
it really was.
Man,
it really
if you guys
was.
only knew how easy we had it getting gigs back then.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Through that.
I know. And it just seems like I don't know. So many things have changed since those days. Well, first of all, the crowd that appreciates that kind of thing, people in our age group are dying, hate to say it, not able to get out because of children and grandchildren and responsibilities. Another thing too is that when we would be playing back in those days, and you were going on at 11:30. Now you play a gig, you're home at 11:30.
Oh God, do we ever love those in the Kicks band? We were like, stage time's at 8 o'clock. You mean we're going to be back at the hotel at 10:30? This is awesome.
Yeah. That's the truth. That's the truth. And another thing I noticed too is that if you're going to bring in a band that appeals to our age group, you better have seating.
Oh yeah, nobody's
I mean, years ago, we would go out and drink and have to recover for 2 days. Nowadays, you go out, you don't drink much, and you're standing, and you have to recover from standing for 2 days.
For 2 days.
Yeah, you're going, your back's killing you. Your
Yep.
ankles are the size of telephone poles. So that's one thing I have noticed, going out to see bands that attract our demographic, is that they're making them seated, even in places like that wouldn't normally have seats. They're bringing out chairs for it.
Yeah, we
Right,
call those nowadays they're called menu venues.
Yes.
We do play a bit of those. Sundogs plays a couple of those. So and
Mhm.
Kicks played a bunch of them. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but hey, if that's what it takes,
right.
make
Well,
you feel comfortable, whatever.
Yep. Well, I'd seen Cheap Trick at a place called the Queen up in Wilmington, Delaware. A
Mhm.
great show, but I can look around the room and see the discomfort. So
Oh,
I went and saw Glenn Hughes there a couple of months later, and they actually had seats. They brought
Mhm.
out chairs, and everybody was like, Glenn
Which
Hughes,
is funny
this is
because
great.
that guy is in some serious ass shape for his age, man. That
Isn't
guy, he is a
He's
beast,
great.
man.
saw
And
him on
he,
the
he
on the Monsters of Rock cruise this last cruise. He was phenomenal. I mean,
oh,
it's-
he
Oh
is.
God.
And I'll tell you, with everything that he'd been through health wise and everything, he came back with a vengeance, and he is looking and
Mhm.
sounding great.
Yep.
Amen.
Put
Hey,
him and Tommy Aldridge. Yeah, him and Tommy Aldridge in the
Yeah.
same room, and it's like they can still throw down.
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. They sure can. There's a lot of them out there that are still able to do it, very, very well, at
I'll
an
tell you
advanced
who's
age,
I mean, look at
it's great.
Mark. Mark's doing it. Look at Mark.
I'll tell you who's really fierce out there that we play with quite a bit is Winger and Extreme. They are just
Hmm.
completely on fire. And Winger is, back in the day, it was all about like the good looks, but they play so good, it makes you
Mhm.
want to throw your stuff out the window.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Extreme, Nuno just released the band released the album, but the solo to Rise
Hmm.
Oh God.
reignited lead playing all over the planet,
Hmm.
and it's just this epic solo that you wouldn't think a guy 55 years old has the physical ability to play and the
Yeah.
fire to turn something like that out on
Mhm.
that record. And then to watch him play it live, I'm like, this guy's not even human.
Oh yeah.
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 It's just, what
Um,
is this guy? He's the eternal youngster as well. So because he's my
Yeah.
age, so he's we're both the same age, but
Mhm.
and all nice guys too. Kip's a great guy. Kip loves Kicks. He came up and did his first ever credit on a record was Bang Bang Balls of Fire on Midnight Dynamite.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
he came up and played that song with Kicks, and I handed him my bass, and he handed it back to me, and he was like, "This thing sounds great. You have to text me your signal chain." I'm like, "I'm not giving you my signal chain. You figure it out." So I did actually give it to him though. So, but yeah, he was really complimentary. But I felt, something about getting your instrument back from Kip Winger, and then you got to go up and play. It's like, what am I doing? So
I've heard
Kip,
good things about them because I know,
Kip
Scarlet
sings
Angel
great.
is a friend of mine. That band Scarlet Angel,
Uh-huh.
Kim and Michelle, they played with Winger a number of times over at Fishhead, and
Mhm.
they said they've had nothing but great things to say about those guys.
Yeah, and Rod, the drummer, is just,
Mhm.
Oh,
he was great back then, and now he's got 30 years of being a
Mhm.
drum professor at Berkeley under his belt.
Oh yeah,
And you can't even wrap your mind around what this guy is doing,
right.
particularly during the end of like Headed for a Heartache, and it's the Rod solo, and it's like, what is he doing? And I've asked Reb and Kip, I'm like, how do you know where the one is? I can't, I don't know what's going on up there. It's Rod soloing and those guys praying that they come in on the same one that Rod comes in on, and they're great. I
Yeah.
mean, they're always phenomenal. And Kip's voice he's so in shape, so strong,
Oh yeah,
just amazing, just really amazing.
yeah. I've been very fortunate in this venture, working with 97 and doing my own thing, this here, that every like a celebrity or music person, whatever, local, regional, or national has been great.
Mhm.
Now I can't say the same thing for their managers, and I won't mention any names, but I got to remember that I'm representing both myself and, in the other show, 97 Underground, and I don't want to make things difficult for Tom or anybody else there. I don't
Right,
want to
right.
ruin the reputation, but I'm like, bite your tongue, go
Right.
walk around the block. It's not your fault that that guy's manager can only grunt in one syllable words,
Right.
and
right.
he's,
I'm
pompous.
glad
And
you're not talking about our manager. So
no,
I
not at
think
all, not at
you know
all.
Madeline, right? Madeline Scarpella. She's been managing Kicks for a long time.
Never met her. No,
Yeah,
no.
she's great,
Yeah.
and she doesn't put up with any bullshit either. So
Yeah. I've had a few that have been. I've been very fortunate. I have to say the vast majority of them have been like, I would say like lukewarm or better.
There you go.
You know
That's
what I
all
mean?
you can hope for,
Lukewarm or
isn't it?
better. And then
Yeah.
I've had a couple that were just like, I'm like, you are a publicist, right? You are trying to
Right.
get good public relations for people here. Maybe not being a dick.
Yeah, we'll help publicity. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good public relations, public relations 101. Don't be a dick to the public.
Right.
You're supposed to make people likable, relate to people,
Make them
reach
want
out.
to interview your artist. Make them want to be nice to your artist. Yeah.
I don't need to come to your house. I don't need to eat dinner with you. I just want to, find out about your new album and help you get the word out.
Right. Right. I know.
I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yep.
I get it. I don't get it.
We've seen it all, man.
Mhm.
We've all seen it all.
Yep, exactly. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you guys here. Just a couple more things I'd like to ask. One thing that I like to ask people, and we usually have a lot of fun with this, is Spinal Tap moments. Have any of you had any Spinal Tap moments on stage or otherwise that you'd like to share just for a quick,
Oh
All
man.
right, who's going to lead this one off? I think we all have them. Who's going to lead this one
I don't
off?
know if it's a Spinal Tap moment, but I will tell you one of the most interesting things that happened to me on stage, and it was at the Bayou. And you know how that Bayou stage was up? How tall was that stage? Maybe about, was it like about
7-8 feet?
So yeah, so
it was
up in the air.
high.
And well, I was telling you that we did at least, I saw them with my own eyes, have two fans that are always up at the front telling you to keep rocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
These two guys, there are a couple guys that are up, they're right beyond the monitor, okay? And I'm doing a solo. And I have a habit when I'm doing a solo of holding saliva in my mouth. I don't know why, but it's a concentration thing. And so I'm leaning over this monitor and I'm doing this solo, and these two guys are going, "Yes, dude, rock it." And I go, "Yeah, man." I open my mouth to go, "Yeah." And I just yeeked all over them. And I'm like, "Sorry, guys." Yeah, I yeeked all over our entire fan base.
I'm going to tell you that in addition to what I told you earlier about the Swizzles gig where we were somehow put as the opening act, and keep in mind, we were not a glam band by any means.
Right.
But we certainly did wear the spandex and the gear, and we definitely pumped the hair up. I don't think we were such a makeup-y type band as a lot of people were, but
yeah, right.
That gig was absolute hell. Opening for Exodus, here we are, a hair band by nature, I guess you would, or by default you would call it, and of course that. But I think the funniest thing for me, and this was definitely a Mountain View Inn show, Mark Schenker and Rob both went to a wedding before a show, and I guess they were almost late for the show, getting back from a wedding reception, and so they show up at the gig in their tuxedos. And with literally about a minute and a half to go before we've got to be on stage, and so Mark says, "Fuck it, I'm going up on stage in my tux." And this did not sit with me well. And you know, I was already ready, and Mark Eamon and I already ready. We had been at the show, done sound check and everything, and Rob and Mark show up in tuxedos, and so they agree they're going to go up there in their tuxes. So I said, man, if you guys do that, I'm really not kidding. I'm going to strip down to my underwear, and I swear to God, I'm going on stage in my underwear tonight. And I did. And so that is an actual show that physically happened. And I kept referring to the band the whole entire night. Instead of when I would say our name, I would say we are the Nakeds. And I mean, I don't know how much that was kind of a self-inflicted Spinal Tap moment, but that was me. That was me getting.
You made your point.
Yeah. Oh no, that was me trying to make a point for sure. That legitimately happened, and I was pissed. But so Schenker looked really good at the show. I mean, he was definitely well. I mean, he looked like he was ready for a wedding for sure. But yeah, that was an awkward night where one of us was in their bikini brief underwear and a pair of high top Air Jordans, and Mark had a tuxedo on, and I can't remember if Eamon just wore his gear, but yeah, that was a moment, man. And I think somewhere along the line, somebody's got to have a photo of that.
We can only hope.
Stuff, there has to be a photo of that.
We could only hope somebody will come out of the woodwork and say, "Hey, I got photos from."
Oh God, they've got photos of everything else. They might as well have photos of that. That's for sure.
Sure.
And Mark, I'm sure, has plenty, because I'm telling you, Mark just always seemed to. He seemed to be magnetized into those kind of things, because if there were ever some chaos about to happen, Mark Schenker was right in the middle of that, like an eye of the hurricane, man.
Damage control. Yeah, I got, I mean, as many gigs as Kix played every year for the past, 23 years since I got in the band. We've had, I remember there was I think it was in Kansas or Nebraska or something. And we had to take this little shitty flight in, and we set up all our gear, and, out there in the plains, these storm fronts come in and like that, they're covered. And we, they put tarps over all of our gear, and it was all backline stuff. It wasn't our stuff. And the wind blew everything over. So cabinets were thrown over, Marshall heads were around the stage, and Jimmy spent the whole storm under his drum kit protecting our electronics. And when we got done, the promoter decided that there wasn't enough time for us to play, so he would pay us, and all we had to do was a meet and greet. So he went into the meet and greet, and dozens and dozens of people in line. Oh, we can't wait to see you. And we're like, we already knew we weren't playing, but we weren't allowed to tell them.
Sure, right.
So we were like, okay, let's make sure we get paid, and let's get the fuck out of here. So that was one real funny time. That was just like, and I think we were playing with Twisted and Winger that night. So they got to play, but we didn't. But rumor was that Twisted didn't get paid their full amount, and D. Snyder is not somebody you want to mess with.
No, he's not. No, he's
definitely not.
So
yeah, that was one. And then God, had so many others. I wish you asked me ahead of time. I would have had a couple of doozies, because I'll walk away from this computer and I'll think of like, oh man, I should have told him about that one.
Well, you know what, the good thing about working with me is that you can come back whenever you want.
Oh, okay, cool.
If a year from now, if you all have more material to release, if you have more news, if you form a different band, whatever, you can always come back and tell me what you want to tell me. And I'm here to support the scene. This is what we do here. And well, guys, I really appreciate you being with us tonight here. One last thing, if you'd like to give us your plugs, where we can find your music and all about you online, all your sites, go ahead.
Well, I think music, obviously, everything that's going to be released, you'll be able to get at any of your, favorite, download and streaming, outlets. That's going to be worldwide. So that's a good thing. We never really had that opportunity back in the day, and we're kind of happy to have that now. The official website, which is generated by the label, that would be, it's a weird website, but if you want to check it out, it's Gastem.univ like Victor .s like Sam E, and that'll take you directly to our homepage where you can find out everything. Again, if you want to just go to Avalon Street Records, all of the buttons to hit right to the Gastem page are there. Facebook, it's Gastem 1985. And then, that's also the same for the Instagram page too. YouTube channel, Gastem 1985. So we have a little YouTube channel as well. And hopefully that'll branch out a little bit more. We're going to see where the interest is. And, maybe it'll just be us three and maybe you, Michael, that'll have the interest there. And so it'll just be little 4 things. So only we'll have to know. But we're hoping people will at least check out what we've been doing, and definitely check out the new tunes this Friday, May 3rd. I don't know if this is probably going to air after that, but this Friday we do have a new single that's going to be hitting, which I want to at least touch on before we go, because it's a tribute to our fallen brother and our bass player Mark Eamon, who passed away in November of last year. This was the last song that he wrote. He actually wrote this song, and it's a beautiful track, and Rob took it to the next level and then shared it with Mark and I, and we were able to be a part of that. So what everybody's going to hear released this Friday, the 3rd, is going to be a track called Surrender, which we're real proud of, and I hope other people will like it too. And then it's for us, it's a way to kind of have Mark be a part of this, since unfortunately, he was supposed to, and we were supposed to kind of get the whole band back together, and that didn't happen. So we're really happy that, he's with us in spirit on this. So I want to at least mention that. And you can email us at gastemband@gmail.com if you need anything. So that's hopefully everything there. If I missed something, jump in, fellas, but I think I hit it all.
Yeah, I want to jump in on my Rush tribute band, Sundogs. So it's me and Bob Perry from Kicks and a drummer named Ricky Slazak. So we're a true tribute. We're a trio, the holy triumvirate.
Absolutely.
So we are playing M3 Festival this weekend, which might be before this airs. But we're, now that Kicks is retired, we've been doing it about 5 years, but we really haven't had the time or the space to take the gigs that have been coming our way. So, and we have the same agency and management as Kicks has. So we expect to be seen around a lot more in the next year and a half or so. Hopefully we'll be able to ramp up to playing 2 or 3 weekends a month. Would be great for us. We have full production. We got video screens on each side. We have a video for every song. We go all the way back to Xanadu, all the way up to Time Stand Still and Big Money. So, and everything in between. So it's a lot of fun, and our drummer is absolutely amazing. He really makes the band because he plays Neil hit for hit, and Bob and I are just so amazed by this guy. He's like 6'4", like Neil was. He's just a power hitter. And he gives me a headache every time we practice because he hits so hard.
Yeah, wow.
He's just a monster, and he leaves no stone unturned when trying to, do right by the things that Neil did over his career. So we're really proud of him.
Yeah, wonderful. Well,
and
great.
Just look for Sundogs Band over socials. You'll find us.
Okay, great, guys. Well, thank you all for being with us tonight, fellas. We appreciate it. Glad to hear all the good news. Glad to hear about all the great things you're up to and everything. And we appreciate it. And like I said, anytime, come back and see us, please. So, folks, we've had Gastem on tonight on Fowl Players Radio. The links to everything that was just mentioned, you'll find in the show notes of the episode. And we will see you all next time. Thanks a lot, fellas.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it, buddy.
And folks, thanks again for tuning in tonight for our interview with Gastem. Rob Galpin, Craig Stegall, and Mark Schenker. It was just a great interview. We had a nice time talking about their new material, what they plan on releasing soon, and reminiscing about the old days of the club scene. It was just a great time, and I really enjoyed having them on. And make sure you get out and check out their material. All the links to everything are going to be in the show notes. Remember the Fowl Players of Perryville coming. Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, Fifth Company Brewing, Madigan's on the Waterfront, Susky River Beverage Company, and Maryland Party Boat. All great venues. Tickets are available if you go to our website, www.fowlplayersofperryville.com. If you're interested in booking us for a charity event or any event, fowlplayersperryville@yahoo.com or 443-600-0446. And you can hear yours truly on the Michael Spedden Show, The Back of the Rack, on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, Sundays 3 to 5 for the replay. I feature songs you forgot you loved, interviews with up-and-coming and classic beloved bands, and all kinds of other great stuff too. 97underground.com. Download the free app today. Listen to us wherever you go. And also our YouTube page, youtube.com/@97underground, Michael Spedden. We thank you for watching and listening to Fowl Players Radio. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button wherever you listen. And remember, fowlplayersradio.com and youtube.com/@fowlplayersradio. We thank you for your support. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. Very important. Support our guests in their endeavors. All of their links and everything will be in the show notes of every episode. Thanks again for your support. Michael Spedden signing off. Until next time.